Alright, so you saw the modifications done to the head and body in that last picture. So this is the next part, sculpting on new pieces. Now this is where I get more questions, like what kind of clay do I use, how do I cure it, blah blah blah. Okay, so that's what this part of the video is going to focus on. So, the kind of clay I use, I go with Super Sculpting. You can get this at most craft stores. Personally, I get it at Michael's. It's, in my store, it comes in these little 1-pound bricks with a picture of a seahorse on the front. Although, the packaging may differ depending on the store or the distributor, or, you know, the size. It just look for Super Sculpting, okay? It comes in two formulas. This is the regular version, and there's also Super Sculpting Firm, which is a gray clay. It's basically the same stuff, but it's a lot harder. They say that it's better for detail work. I'm not sure how it would work on action figures, but I've had other customizers tell me that if you mix a little bit of Sculpting Firm with this regular Super Sculpting, then it's nicer for detail work and more durable. I haven't tried it myself. So, yeah, like as you can see, I've already worn through half the brick. I keep it wrapped in plastic wrap so that it retains its moisture, because even though it's designed to heat cure, it can get dry and crumbly. And you really don't need to use all that much for making custom figures. Of course, Bunny's ears are rather large, and that's what I'm primarily going to be sculpting, so we're going to take a bit. X-Acto knife goes right through this. You can use almost anything to cut clay. I just use the X-Acto knife because it's on hand and it makes really precise cuts. Okay, so that's that. Now, as you work on the Sculpty, some people pronounce it with a T, and you're not supposed to. You gotta just take it and knead it around your hands a bit to get it soft. That way you can sculpt details into it. If it's too hard, like if you just cut it off and then try to mash it onto your figure, then it's gonna look lumpy. You're not gonna be able to work with it as well. You gotta soften it up by just kneading it around your hands for a few minutes. It's it's just a simple kneading process, and then you can go ahead and do all the sculpting you want. I'm not going to do the sculpting in front of the camera because this step actually does take a while, and it requires a lot of hands-on work that I can't really be sure to keep in the frame of a camera. But I will show you some nice tools that will help make your stuff look better. So let's show a close-up of some clay working tools. Okay, so back in the day, this was all I had to work with. There's this little needle tip thing, which is good for making holes. There's this rounded tip thing, which is good for making pits. There's this rubbery spatula thing, which I use to make smooth surfaces and blend. There's a knife in here, which isn't as sharp or precise as the X-Acto knife, so I almost never use it. And of course, there's this little attachment with a little magnetic thing inside, so the tools go into place and then they don't fall off, and then you have more space to work with. But Christmas passed, and my cousin, knowing how much I like to work with this stuff, he got me a bunch of professional grade tools. So let's just open this up, take a quick look at what's inside. I'll talk about the tools I probably will use the most. Of course, it comes with armatures that you stick things onto. You know, you gotta have handles. And then various things like this is a universal gripping tip. You know, you screw this end in and then it'll hold on to your tool, which can vary. Like these little metal bits. These are used for making marks or even cutting clay. Kind of clay chisels. I got this big I got this big spatula piece in here, which I can't get out because my fingernails are too short. Ooh. This is a really cool tool. This, it almost looks like a little broom. It's a wire brush thing, which you when you move it across the surface of the clay like this, you can make a texture that looks like hair or fur. You don't want to press too hard because you could actually just make a mess. But it's if you have a light enough touch, it makes pretty good looking hair. I used it when I made that Alex Starlight figure, and I think it really looks really makes a nice hair texture. Of course, there's other cool things like crescent moon stamp pieces and this sort of pizza cutter looking thing, which you roll across the clay like this to make you know, cutting clay is an important part of sculpting it. And I have this really nice little thingy full of other little thingies. See? For making pits, for making holes or lines, all kinds of cool things. So these are optional, but they will really help you make nice details in your creations. So you should have some clay working tools because they make your work look a lot better than if you just use your hands, you know? Okay, so let's take a look at what I sculpted. Oh, quick qualifier. The commissioner this time, the way he wanted Bunny to look was with braided hair, but not wearing her hat. She wanted her jacket. So this is the issue that came packaged with one of my Blaze the Cat figures in a 2-pack. He basically wants Bunny to look like this. Yeah. Nice, convenient little reference there, huh? Yeah, I'm going to be keeping this by my side. Okay, so when next you see the figure, it will have been sculpted to look more like Bunny. Okay, so here is the bunny head sculpted with her nice little hair. She has her bangs, and we'll show more stuff later on. And here is ye old pot of boiling water. Now, Bunny's head is on the end of a paintbrush. That's the thing with Sonic heads. I have paintbrushes that happen to fit snugly into those neck holes. So, the water's boiling, and here is the head. It's covered in soft clay, and I stick the head into the boiling water. Now again, just like when I dismantled the figure, I'm not going to let it touch the edges of the pan. It's only touching water. Now this type of clay, it's supposed to be oven cured. You stick in the oven at about 275 degrees for 20 minutes for every 1/4 inch of clay. But since this is attached to a plastic action figure, sticking it into the oven for that long would destroy the figure. So I dip it in the water, because at 212 degrees, boiling water is not hot enough to destroy the plastic of an action figure. However, since it's water and not air that's heating up, the heat transfer occurs much faster. So the head is actually cured, well, the clay on the head is cured in much less time, as few as 30 seconds in most cases. In fact, that should be enough time right now. Again, you got to be really careful. This is boiling water. It may not feel very hard as soon as you take it out. That's not because it's not finished curing. That's just because once a substance becomes solid, heating it up makes it softer. So we actually have to wait a few minutes for it to cool before it'll actually feel like hardened clay. But at this point, you can run your finger across it, and if you notice that be very gentle, because at this point it's relatively delicate and you can break it. But I'm just touching things to see if I leave impressions, and nope, it's all good now. Alright, that means that this head is now cured. I turn off the water, never leave boiling water sitting by itself, and There it is. A cured head. Now, you may notice a certain feature lacking. That's what we're going to talk about in the next part of the video. Alright, so this part of the video is about things besides clay and paint that you'll be using. This is Bunny Rabbit, and as you know, she has, from the pictures I've used, she has a long braid and a jacket. If I were to try and make these things out of clay, they would only break, because for one thing, with the braid, it's very long and very thin. To make it out of a substance as stiff and brittle as clay would simply cause it to snap whenever you try to turn her head. That's why I use a more flexible material. This is craft foam. It's thin, it's paintable, and it is flexible. It's great for making extremities such as long hair on an action figure. I'm going to show you through pictures what I'm going to do with this. When that should provide you with plenty of information. As for the jacket, I'm going to use this. It's an eyeglass case. You know, you put glasses in there. It's made out of this brown pleather material, and as you can see, I've already made a couple of cuts in it. And this is just really good for making a little jacket type thing. Because it has that kind of texture. So yeah, it's this part's pretty basic. To make armholes in the jacket, at least for Sonic figures, there is a thing that I like to use, which I keep in the Drawer-O stuff. Yes, I have a Drawer-O stuff. It's right here next to my scissors. This is an ordinary hole puncher. If you're in school and you have to take teachers' handouts and put them into a 3-ring binder, you probably have something like this. Just a very ordinary hole punch. You just actually I made a hole in the craft foam, as you can see. You just go ahead, boom boom, make a hole, and the action figure's arm will fit through it. Okay. Super simple. Alright. Oh, may as well mention, this is Wave's arm. Wave's arm. And it's not focusing. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Wave's arm. And here's Wave's hand. I cut the glove cuff off. And I'm gonna lose wrist articulation to do this, but I'm gonna glue this onto the end. There's a convenient little nub there that still fits. And then I'm gonna sculpt over this with clay to make it one smooth contiguous piece. This is because, you know, as a character that does not wear gloves, Bunny's hands don't have a big tumor at the wrist, which is what it would look like if I just painted it. Alright, so that covers this portion of the video, which is miscellaneous materials, I guess. Alright, so let's see how that works out. Okay, so braid. Here's the craft foam. I cut it into 3 strips, which meet up at the top there. And then I looked up this convenient how to braid tutorial on Google, because I had never braided anything before. This is my very first time. And you know what? For my first try, I think it came out really good. Look at that. I love that thing. That's one of my favorite parts of this custom. I have braided. And yeah, let's talk about the arms. Here are the arms and legs before. You know, sculpt over them so that they look like the cybernetics. You know, just like last time, the feet are made from scratch, except more square. You know this part.